The study of economic growth focuses on the influences and effects of social and economic variables that drive increasing levels of output. It is a comprehensive area of economics, using research and historical data to build multi-layered models that attempt to determine what makes economies grow. This presentation takes a high-level approach towards examining the components and drivers in economic growth theory, as well as the real-world impacts and implications of economic growth. One of the most well-known constructs of empirical growth measurement is the Rule of 70. In economic terms, it represents the number of years it takes for an economy to double its output. Of particular significance is the growth rate percentage, which dictates the entirety of this measurement. For instance, if a country has a measured growth rate of 7%, this expression tells us that the nation's output will double in only 10 years. So how do economists measure the growth rate we put into this expression? There are many ways to measure a country's economic performance, but arguably the most standardized and well-known is the gross domestic product. This metric combines the economy's level of output across four sectors: consumption, investment, government expenditures, and net exports. Consumption measures non-depreciable goods such as gasoline, food, and clothing. Investment measures depreciable capital like buildings or manufacturing machines that can lose their value over time. Next is government expenditures, which measures items not privately owned or consumed, like roads, schools, or national defense. Finally, net exports measures the balance of outgoing and incoming goods to and from foreign countries. The growth rate we examined before is the difference between two GDP measurements from two different points of time. The four components of GDP rise and fall year to year, ultimately influencing second GDP measurement. The difference between the GDP of year 1 and GDP of year 2 over the GDP of the first year gives us the growth ratio between the 2 years. When multiplied by 100, we get the final result of our GDP growth rate.
The United States economic growth for the third quarter was 2.9%. This is the best quarterly advance in 2 years and is a big improvement of the 1.1% growth of the first half of the year. This increase brings the yearly growth to about 1.7%. Republican nominee for President Donald Trump called the growth modest and promised 4% economic growth annually. Most economists, however, see that goal as unrealistic. Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton signaled the growth as a clear sign of progress following the recession. The report showed that both consumer spending and exports increased, while business spending decreased. In addition, the large inventories that held back growth in the first half of the year decreased enough to enable growth in the third quarter. Finally, this growth could finally signal an increase in the interest rate after the Fed declined to do so after the lackluster growth and poor job reports of the first half of the year.
Economic growth has positive and negative implications in the world. Growth in the economy allows reduction in poverty, greater education, improved technology and infrastructure, better health, and improved living standards. As the economy grows, more people are offered jobs. Income rises, allowing the quality of life to rise. Educationally, economic growth allows more investment into education. As a result, education improves with more economic growth. The same idea applies with technology and infrastructure. Economic growth allows more investment into developments like transportation systems, utility systems, systems that overall improve the quality of life. Economic growth has a positive impact on health as well, as it provides more resources for food, healthcare, shelter, and clothing, as that allows more people to access these important goods and services to improve the quality of life. Economic growth negative impacts include the destruction of old economic structures, increase in income inequality, and harmful effects to the environment. As some industries grow in the economy, other industries will decline in result of another industry growing. This can lead to the destruction of old economic structures, which means loss of jobs and businesses going bankrupt. Income inequality can happen where there is economic growth when the increase of wealth is not distributed rightfully. The rich continue to get richer, but the poor continue to get poorer. Economic growth adds to pollution and damage to the environment. Growth to the economy can lead to a lot more usage of resources like water, land, and energy. Polluting and consuming the Earth's resources in large amounts can lead to serious and harmful consequences to the environment.
This concludes our video presentation on economic growth. We hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.